When someone tells you these days that they drive an Audi Quattro, you don't bat an eyelid, because it's a model designation, a trim level, a piece of marketing. But when someone said that back in the 80s, it actually meant something. The original UR Audi Quattro has, in the last few years, become a very sought-after classic car. No doubt helped by its starring role in the hit BBC TV series Ashes to Ashes. Probably not helped by its starring role in the election poster campaign from the Conservatives. What I struggle to get my head around, though, is how for so many years we all forgot that the Audi Quattro was the star of its very own show. How can a car which changed the face of road and rally cars forever and single-handedly changed the way we thought about motoring have dropped off the radar enough for us to say, oh yeah, the Audi Quattro, when DCI Gene Hunt got behind the wheel? When Audi unveiled their new Quattro at the Geneva Motor Show in 1980, it sent shockwaves through the motor industry. For a start, it cost more than double its sister car, the Audi Coupe GT. And you can imagine why that caused such a stir. After all, it was based on the same chassis. The world can hardly have imagined the impact a turbo, permanent four-wheel drive Audi would have on it. It wasn't just the price though. A permanent four-wheel drive sports car that did 0 to 60 in just over 7 seconds and boasted 200 brake horsepower wasn't exactly a shruggable offence. Now, I'm more than aware that those figures may seem a little humble compared with today's power-hungry car industry, where a hot hatch regularly sees 200 brake horsepower and a supercar with less than 500 is frowned at. But to put the UR Quattro's contemporary prowess into perspective, the 1980 Ferrari 308 had 211 brake horsepower. 11 more, that's it. Welcome to the 80s. The Audi Quattro didn't just invent the concept of the four-wheel drive turbo performance car, it invented poise. The box seat design was unapologetic and proud, with an aggressive stance thanks to the vertical grille and flared arches. As good as it looks in photos, you can't help but be mesmerised by how much wider, squatter, and more purposeful this car looks in the metal from every angle. Including this angle. Everywhere you look, lines and angles, from the hallucination-inspired upholstery to the vast scuttle panel and those square mirrors that surprise you in their squareness every time you look in them. I have a touch of car OCD, and I am almost offended by the fact that the dials are round. Although I suppose the wheels are too. By the early 80s, most people had got rid of their flares. Not the Audi Quattro though, it was nothing if not original. And that, by the way, is where the UR name comes from. Ur, spelt UR, was the first city built by mankind, and Audi was keen to point out that their new Quattro was the first of its kind. They couldn't possibly have known how right they were. But it didn't matter what the name meant. When the Quattro came to the UK in 1981, you'd be lucky to get hold of one, with only 163 left-hand drive models making it onto British roads. If you were one of the lucky ones then, what was it like to drive? In a word, incredible, but not flawless. The 2.1 litre engine in this 1982 model takes a bit of winding up. The famous turbo lag, letting you enjoy that 5-cylinder soundtrack properly before coming on boost and firing you up the road. Luckily with four-wheel drive, it usually fires you in the right direction. For a 34-year-old car though, you cannot believe how complete the driving experience is. The steering feels nice and precise, the suspension is so poised. Even when you're working all the transitions at once, you're braking hard, you're turning in, you're getting back on the power. You get the impression the Audi Quattro was designed to be driven hard, which is fitting when you consider that it would change the face of rallying with a series of fire-snorting Group A and B cars, which would transform both the image and the fortunes of the company. The Escort was the original win on Sunday, buy on Monday car. Before that, the Mini invented the concept of using a shopping cart to create a world-beating competition vehicle. Audi didn't care what had gone before. They thought things should be done differently, and there was only one way to prove their point. The Audi Quattro won the World Rally Championship in 1982 and then again in 1984. This was the ultimate road-going rally car. The UR Quattro practically invented 1980s motoring. All of a sudden, people expected more from their cars. And when you drive one today, like I just have, you realize that actually almost 40 years on, the same still applies. This car has everything. It's fast, it goes round corners, it sounds incredible, it's comfortable, and it turns so many heads. The problem is, like 1980s hairstyles, music, and fashion, the Audi Quattro has come full circle. Just like in its launch year, the pleasure of owning one of these cars is now, for the most part, reserved for the select few who were clever enough to get in there early. This might have actually been my favorite classic car in the world, had it not been for one slight technicality. They made a shorter, fatter, faster one.